Today, I'm going to tell you why making $20,000 a month as an international high-ticket closer in the US market is way closer than you think. Now, let's start by tackling the biggest problem that I see in most international high-ticket closers, which is their limiting beliefs. The main reason why most international closers don't usually get past $5,000 a month is not because of their sales skills necessarily. It's mostly because they have this limiting belief that gets them stuck. And there's a lot of reasons why this might happen. It could be related to your upbringing, to the relationship with money, maybe the way that you were raised at home. Maybe your family and your friends think that there's a limit as to the amount of money that you can make, or you might even have convinced yourself that there's only a small amount of people that can actually make that amount of money and you are just not that person. So as you can see, there's a lot of reasons why those limiting beliefs can actually impact your performance as a high-ticket closer. This trap is especially dangerous for international closers, and the way out requires understanding the fundamental truth about American business owners. Now, the problem here is that international closers usually bring an employee mindset to a market that demands an entrepreneurial mindset. Basically, an employee mindset usually expects structure, and they're always asking for permission, and they're always waiting for training and seeking guaranteed income, and they're always looking to get support and hand-holding. And this obviously creates an income ceiling. Now, on the other hand, when you show up to a job with a business mindset, you tend to take ownership and you're always seeking to solve problems. Now, the result of this is that you actually end up creating your own systems, and you actually understand that your income is tied to the value that you provide. And this is exactly what business owners are looking for. I'm going to give you a few examples so that you understand what I mean here. Now, let's think of Carlos as someone who comes up to a sales job with an employee mindset. So Carlos is always asking for scripts, for training, and for feedback. At the beginning, this might be fine, but on the long term, the business owners started seeing him as someone needing support, and finally he was let go. Now, on the flip side, you have Maria, who came up to the sales job with a way stronger business mindset. She actually started the market, and she created her own scripts and her own talking points, and even suggested process improvements for the company that she was working for. Now, the result of this was that she was seen as a valuable asset, and she was earning over $18,000 a month within the first 6 months. Now, I'm going to give you a clear analogy so that you can understand this point very clearly. I want you to think of yourself as a high-ticket closer, as an athlete. Athletes are paid for their performance, not for showing up to practice. They take ownership of their results. Successful closers adopt this same mentality, so they actually become as profit centers for the businesses instead of as extra costs. And this is what you want to end up doing. You just have to obsess over your performance so that the business sees that you are actually willing to go the extra mile to actually get the results that they're looking for. The point here is that American business owners treat closers like professional athletes. They measure your performance constantly, and they make decisions based on your results. They measure metrics like your close rate, your average deal size, your return on investment. So your effort or your loyalty is not as important here. American business culture will cut down underperformers quickly based purely on business math. It's not even personal. This might be kind of a shocking difference compared to other cultures where relationships or loyalty could be actually more important. Now, the last thing you want to do on a high-ticket sales job is to start thinking that you are entitled to complain all the time. Business owners expect you to solve problems and not create them. So if you're constantly asking for more or better leads, that's creating a problem for them. So if you find yourself getting shitty leads, what you should be doing instead is actually analyzing and improving your lead conversion and trying to build better relationships with the leads that are coming through. Now, I'm going to give you 2 other real-world examples so that you can see this more clearly. I want you to think of 2 closers, Ahmed, who is a problem solver, and Stefan, who is always complaining. Ahmed, when his performance was questioned, he analyzed calls, he identified his own weaknesses, and he actually created his new responses. The result of this is that his close rate jumped, and he actually proved his value. Now, on the flip side, you got Stefan, who, when his performance was questioned, he actually asked for more training and better scripts. So eventually what happened here was that he was seen as an expense, and he was just let go. Once you understand this performance-based game, you can actually excel because you're often hungrier and more focused and less entitled than domestic local closers. And this is actually one of the main reasons why most international closers lose these $20,000 a month opportunities. I see this happening over and over again, and I can tell you that international closers waste months perfecting their accents when American business owners, they care actually way more about the results that you provide. What you need to remember here is that your accent doesn't show up on a revenue report. The reality is that the US high-ticket market has a massive demand for skilled closers, and the barrier to entry is not your accent. It's your positioning and your understanding of the market. Your hunger, your dedication, and your willingness to prove value through performance are significant advantages over domestic candidates who may be more complacent and less familiar with this performance-based mindset. Now, I'm going to give you another couple of examples so that you can actually drill this into your brain. I want you to think of two other closers, Priya and David. So in this case, Priya has a more strategic approach and David has a more superficial approach. Now, in this case, Priya, despite having a very thick, strong accent, she actually studied target companies and she ended up creating her own sample sales scripts for their specific challenges. The result was that she ended up landing a $23,000 a month sales role. Now, on the other hand, you have David, who despite having a perfect English and minimal accent, he focused too much on accent reduction and classes instead of demonstrating unique value, and the result was that he received no offers at all. Now let's get into the meat of the matter here. How do you actually land high-ticket offers without experience? Now this ties back to the business mindset compared to the employee mindset that I was mentioning at the beginning. What you want to do here is to bypass the traditional competitive job boards by using direct outreach to founders and hiring managers. And you want to position yourself as a proactive problem solver and a valuable asset. The biggest problem that I see with the majority of high-ticket closers is that they apply like desperate job seekers and they use mass applications, generic resumes, focusing on their own needs instead of positioning themselves like valuable assets for the companies that they reach out for. Instead, what you should be doing is deeply studying a target company's market, their sales processes, and their challenges. You actually need to create value for them first. So instead of submitting the same generic resume over and over again, you actually need to create a personalized video application analyzing their processes and offering specific valuable suggestions. Now, remember that during your outreach, you should always be focusing on the company's problems and how you can actually solve their specific challenges and not about your own desire to get the job. So another thing that you can do in order to land these high quality sales jobs is actually filter for quality. So basically you should be targeting high ticket offers that are between $5,000 to $10,000, and you should also make sure that they have a reliable sales pipeline with warm pre-qualified leads to maximize your earning potential and your constant learning. I've always been a big believer in the idea that the best way to learn is on the job. So you should be looking to get paid while dealing with real objections, real pressure, and real money. Now, I want you to picture what I call the Heaven and Hell Island framework. This is a simple yet powerful framework for understanding buyer psychology and structuring your own sales goals. Hell Island is the prospect's current state of pain, frustration, and problems. So your job here is to help them articulate and feel the full weight of this reality. Heaven Island, on the other hand, is the prospect's desired outcome, their dream situation. And your job in this case is to help them visualize this compelling future. And your product or service is actually the bridge that takes them from one island to another. The reason this works is because you're not selling a product. You're helping the prospect see that your solution is the most logical path from their current pain to their desired future. This addresses the real emotional drivers behind their purchasing decision. The best way to scale from a $5,000 to a $20,000 a month offer is through strategic positioning. Your income growth comes from strategic thinking, not just working harder. Top closers understand how to pull 3 specific levers to multiply the results. The first one is your close rate. You need to master advanced frameworks to convert more prospects. Doubling your close rate always doubles your income. The second lever is to move to higher ticket offers. I mean, this is dead obvious, but sometimes people forget that selling a $10K offer pays 5 times more than selling a $2K offer. Now, the third lever that you should be pulling here is that you should be actually tracking and using your proven track records and your metrics to negotiate better commission structures, better positions, or even equity in the company that you're working for. The biggest block to earning $20,000 a month is not your skills, your experience, or your location. It's your internal belief system. Income plateaus are often mindset blocks disguised as skill problems. Now, these limiting beliefs could happen because of a huge variety of reasons, but the main problem that I see is that cultural conditioning and past experiences create subconscious beliefs about money, worth, and what is possible. So these beliefs can actually sabotage your performance without you even realizing it. Let me give you a few examples so that you can understand what I mean here. So let's think of Roberto. In this case, he felt guilty about earning more than his father, which subconsciously caused him to hold back during his closes. Now let's take a look at Sarah. In this scenario, she believed she should be grateful for any opportunity she was presented with, which caused her to accept low-paying offers far below her capabilities. The bottom line here is that when you believe you're worth $20,000 a month, you show up differently. You speak with more confidence, you pursue better opportunities, and you negotiate from a position of strength. Achieving $20,000 a month opportunities is about recognizing your own value and positioning yourself correctly by adopting an entrepreneurial mindset. I want you to consciously start implementing this mindset and systematic approach today. Stop waiting for permission and start positioning yourself as a strategic asset who creates value. Consistent implementation of this proven system is the key to the success you're looking for.